Hi, I'm Donald Osborne, and welcome to the Audrain Museum Network. A network like this thrives on its viewers, but also on its subscribers. So if you're not a subscriber, do it today. It's really easy. All you have to do is press the red subscribe button, then of course press the bell icon to make sure that you're notified of all the great content that we put up here on the channel. You won't regret it. Subscribe today. We're here this morning at the Pebble Beach Concours Tour d'Elegance, which is really the kickoff for the Pebble Beach weekend. And it's an amazing thing to be here with all these great historic cars from around the world. And the atmosphere is amazing, especially for us at the Audrain, because in celebrating, preserving, and sharing automotive history, it's all about seeing the cars move and smelling them. Well, not in the case of the car I'm driving, because hopefully we don't smell anything from the 1912 Rauch Lang electric roadster I'm driving. But nonetheless, you still get an atmosphere that you cannot get with cars sitting parked. Last year in the tour, I drove the Audrain 1916 Packard Twin 6, a powerful, fast car. This year's drive is a little different than that, but nonetheless will be absolutely amazing and atmospheric. One of the things that also is so terrific about Pebble Beach is that it is a competition. And I'm proud to say that the Audrain team has put our Rauch Lang in pole position, the first car to go out. And all we have to do now is repeat that feat on Sunday for the concours and put one of our cars first on the field. Let's see how we do. Hey! Not just humans that love old cars. There are some great canine companions like Homer here. He loves cars, and the Pebble Beach Tour is one of his favorite activities of the year. Let's go, Homer. The Audrain team has been busy throughout the Monterey Peninsula at all the events so far leading up to the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. We've gone to parties, we've gone to shows, we've prepared cars for the Pebble Beach Tour. We've done lots of things to experience the greatest car week, many people say, in the world. Now really comes the big moment, the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance itself on Sunday morning. And of course the Audrain is showing 3 cars at the concours, and they have to be absolutely ready for their close-up. This is really where the hard work begins, after the tour and before the concours itself on Sunday. Let's take a quick look at the work that Lee and Jacob are doing on these cars to get them ready for their big close-ups tomorrow. One of the highlights of the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance this year is a special class to honor the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln brand. And we are showing our 1935 Lincoln Model K Brune Town Car. And preparing a car like this is really a great challenge because there are so many details. The paint, the nickel finishes, the chrome, the leather trim, the wood trim, and preparing every moment so that the judges can see these cars in their absolute finery is really, really exacting work. Now, we had this car at a restorer, Steve Babinski's Automotive Restorations in Lebanon, New Jersey, to help fluff it up for the show, and we went through many details to make sure they were absolutely correct and right. And of course, Lee and the team down in Virginia did a great job as well before the car went to make sure that it was running exactly the way it should, so that this car has to operate as well as it looks. And some of the details are absolutely amazing. You see the pinstriping. The Brun coachwork was known for wonderful details like these door handles, the gentle curve in them. And the shape of this car, it's a very funny thing to see. A town car generally is not a very sort of sporty or sometimes not even a very attractive car. This is a really attractive car with a really interesting history as well. We don't know who the first owner was, but we do know that the second owner was a fan dancer who lived in northern Quebec. Now, that must have made quite an impression for a young lady of the stage to have a magnificent town car like this, probably a gift from an admiring fan. No pun intended. If you don't know what a fan dancer is, look it up. One of the details I love most on Lincolns of this period are the beautiful cloisonné emblems that you can see here on this hubcap. It's so emblematic of the kind of detail and elegance that these cars had. Imagine we're in the depths of the Depression and a magnificent car like this is being built for the ultra wealthy to really demonstrate that they still have it, even if a lot of other people don't. Today, we don't have to worry about that so much because we are celebrating these cars for the period in which they were created and the spirit in which they were created. We're also, of course, showing two other cars, very, very different from this Lincoln. One of the cars that we're showing is a car that is really exciting to me and a car that all of you who've watched the Audrain Museum Network know I'm very close to. It's a very special Porsche 904. This 1964 Porsche 904 is being shown in the post-war preservation class. And that's a class which is really, really important for the Pebble Beach Concours and for Concours events all around the world. Because it wasn't that long ago, in fact, this very car was shown here at the Pebble Beach Concours in 1998. And it was shown as display only because back then, if a car wasn't fully restored, no one wanted to look at it and it couldn't be judged. Today we are honoring the life of a car that has not been modified, has never been trashed, has always been preserved in its beautiful original shape. And that's what this 904 really shows. This is arguably the most original 904 on the planet. It's covered less than 3,000 kilometers from new. Dr. Nicholas Begovic bought this car in April 1964 from the Porsche factory, drove it a bit around Germany, including a lap of the Nürburgring, and then had it shipped back to his home in Fullerton, California. There, it formed a part of his collection, a brilliant collection of really special sports cars and sports racing cars that he owned until the end of his life. He and his wife Lee donated 14 of those cars to the California State University at Fullerton to help fund a gravitational wave center, and the Audrain Collections was able to purchase those cars. This, to me, is one of my favorite cars in the Begovic collection. And having had the opportunity to really get to know this car and to drive this car is amazing. It's like driving a brand new Porsche 904. It has never been restored, it has never been apart. When we recommissioned it for the street, the expert, Jeff Adams at Speedsport Tuning, took apart the mechanicals, went through the engine, the gearbox, and found all of those components exactly as they were manufactured. He said it was so amazing to look at an engine, to handle these parts that had only been touched by the craftsmen at Porsche who assembled them. Every mark, every number, every tolerance exactly as the factory intended. And to be able to share that with the public at the Pebble Beach Concours in this car is absolutely amazing. It's a great honor. And also, preparing a car like this for the Concours is a very exacting job because you have to make sure that you clean it very carefully to maintain the integrity of all the original finishes. We've also honored the memory and the life of Dr. Begovic in this car because he was a brilliant engineer and wonderful machinist. So he loved to tinker a bit with his cars. So he made in his very well-equipped shop the exhaust tips that are on this car. We've left those on because, no, they weren't put on by the Porsche factory, but they were put on by Dr. Begovic when the car was new. He also put in an auxiliary fuel filter. The car doesn't need it. He just thought he wanted to have that extra bit of security when he brought the car to Pebble Beach in 1998. That's still in the car. Not operating because we don't need it to operate the car because the car operates beautifully without it. But again, it shows the touch of the man who owned this car from new. Again, the surfaces are also very, very informative because this car was manufactured with a very unique method of fiberglass forming. Chopped fiberglass was blown into a mold to make these cars. It's a method that Porsche used on this car, the very first fiberglass Porsche, but decided not to use on the subsequent cars, the Carrera 6 or the 906 and the other Porsche fiberglass sports racing cars that were manufactured afterwards. But nevertheless, we see in the forming of this car how it actually ages and ages gently so that it actually shows every moment of its life. It's a really very special thing and something that I think the people that come to see this car in the Concours field will really appreciate. Also, looking at the mechanicals of this car, again, it's powered by that wonderful 4-cam Carrera engine, and to see it in its form, in the shape, in the car that it was designed to really do sports racing in, this is one of my favorite periods of racing as well because this is the kind of car that you drive to the track, race, and drive home. It was an amazing car, a very capable car in the long distance races such as the Targa Florio and the 1,000 kilometers of the Nürburgring and at Spa. This is the kind of car that you can drive for hours on end and never get tired, and it just expresses itself at speed in a way that is really, really special. So I'm really looking forward to sharing this car with the public on the lawn at Pebble Beach, and hopefully we'll do very well with it. We'll see. Of course, in addition to the Lincoln and the 904, as I mentioned before, we're also preparing to show our 1912 Rauch Lang electric roadster. And that's in a really exciting class, the alternative propulsion class. And you'll see all sorts of cars in addition to our electric roadster. You'll see cars fired by coal gas and a lot of other very interesting things, proving that everything new is actually old. And the Rauch Lang is a really exciting car because it represents so much in terms of history. Again, here at the Audrain, we're all about the cars and the people. This car was delivered new to the mother of Briggs Cunningham, the great sportsman, yacht racer, and Le Mans team owner. And it really expresses so much about what was vital in innovation in automotive technology at the turn of the century. And it's also great, again, that we get to celebrate this. This car is almost completely original. The body's original, most of the interior is original, only the leather fenders and the seat have been reupholstered. And the car operates just as it did when the manufacturers built it back in 1912. And again, it's a wonderful thing that you get to see cars like this at an event like the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, which would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. So the Audrain team is firing on all cylinders, and we'll see what happens, even with the electric car, which has no cylinders. It's going to be a really exciting day. I can't wait. No one's going to sleep tonight. Well, the moment is here. The sun has risen, the cars are here on the field at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, and the 904 Carrera GTS is in its position in post-war preservation. And I'm standing with a man who knows a lot about preservation and about Porsches and 904s. Miles, Mr. Machinist.
Well, it's absolutely delightful to be here today. I'm still looking for the sun that you attest has risen, but even so, there's nothing like being out here in the early dawn hours at Pebble Beach when all the cars are coming on the field and everything is pregnant with expectation.
Exactly.
We love it.
And I know that of all the classes here at Pebble Beach, probably your favorites are the post-war and pre-war preservation classes because of you, the automotive archaeologist, find such incredible stories in these cars. What do you look for in a preserved car, Miles?
You look for individuality. You look for marks of particularity, things that happen to that particular car that distinguish it from all others. For when these were born, they were all one of a series. But after a few years, just like us, they become individuals and should be esteemed for that. It's not a bad thing, it's a great thing.
Well, you know, and that's a wonderful point about this car from the Audrain collections that came from the Nick Begovich collection, because this car is covered, as you know, about 3,000 kilometers from new, and yet it shows the very individual touches of Dr. Nick Begovich. He's a brilliant engineer, and he loved to tinker with his car, so the wonderful exhaust tips that are on this car were made in his shop. When he brought this car to Pebble Beach in 1998, he thought, let's be safe. He installed an additional inline fuel filter, beautifully mounted on a bracket he made himself. Now, we don't use it today because the car doesn't need it, but it's still there because it's evidence of his hand in this car, which he bought new at the factory.
And the beauty of untouched cars is because you can find those stories. And those stories connect us to a human past that doesn't exist on the mint and boxed philosophy that's going around today, where you buy a car and you have only delivery mileage on it for the next 20 years. How does that make any sense?
It doesn't at all. And although Dr. Begovich drove this car very little, I know that every kilometer he covered in it must have been amazing, because when I've driven this car, it is just a thrill. It's an amazing car to drive. I love these cars.
Unrestored cars have an integrity, and which is manifest not only in how they look, but also in how they drive. It takes an awful lot of development work to take a fully restored car and get it back to the way an original car is, and then this car is perfect right the way it is. What a wonderful experience.
It is amazing, and I can't wait to see how the public react to this car today, Miles.
I should think that they will. After all, it's red. How can you not love a red car?
A red sports car.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Thanks, Miles.
My pleasure. Take care.
And now the day comes to its culmination. The award ceremony has begun. And the excitement is really very, very, very high, but of a different kind. I think that all the exhibitors, no matter how anxious we may have been during the judging process, now there's a bit of relaxation. There's nothing we can do. It's in the hands of the gods, as it were. But we've got a really good feeling here, so we'll see what happens. I think it's all been worth it. The great effort that the Audrain team has put in to bring these cars here. Talking to people about this car has been really terrific. People really getting interested in the history of the car. The fact that this car exists as this wonderful artifact is just amazing. And that's the entire point of what it is that we do, is sharing these cars with people. And it's been amazing. Well, we've been monitoring the progress of the Audrain here at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, and I have to say, although we weren't first on the field this morning, we're first on the field this afternoon. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. It was a whole team effort.
The team did an amazing job preparing this amazing preservation car and being able to really show the public what a car that is 3,000 kilometers from new is like.
Amazing.
Living in history. I mean, it's what we stand for at the Audrain. It's bringing history to people and sharing it. People are so excited hearing the story of this car. What was it like to drive across that ramp?
It was exhilarating, and the hardest part, I think, was getting the 1964 air into the tires.
You know, it's the details that count. You know, it's all about the details. And this man, Nick Schorsch, knows about details, and it's why we at the Audrain are who we are today. So, first in class, is that the end of the story? Who knows? If it is, it's an amazing result for us, and if it's not, well, we'll see what happens.
It's the first of many for Nick Begovic, so he deserves it. We all owe him a big thank you because he curated this car and many others that we'll be continuing to work on and bring here to Pebble.
What is really so great about this, Nick, is the fact that Nick Begovic, of course, showed this car in 1998, and there wasn't a post-war preservation class then, so he had to put it in display only. And I'd like to think that we have brought this car to the Pebble Beach Concours and won the best-in-class preservation that Nick Begovic deserved back in 1998.
And all the team did a great job, and we thank them all. So have a great day, all.
Well, the day's over here at the 2022 Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, and the Audrain team has done an amazing job. No, we didn't win Best of Show with our 1964 Porsche 904 Carrera GTS, but we had an amazing time, and we'll be back next year even stronger, with better cars, in a better environment, even more well prepared, and ready to have fun, and to share our cars with an international audience. Thanks for joining our ride.